Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard of the most disturbing information. It explains a lot as to why the medical examiner has not released findings yet in the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. I when I was getting ready to do this live, the only thing I could think of was the show Dexter.
Does that make sense?
Yup, to me, it looks like this D4VD guy, if he is in fact the one who took Celeste's life, he's a Dexter.
Does that make sense?
This dude allegedly froze her body, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, that's going to destroy almost all forensic information.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it's the very freezing of those cells. The way that it changes and put crystals inside of your cells when it's frozen makes it very difficult for the medical examiner to get certain tests back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to jump right into this, man. Body found in frozen state. Cause of death may never be determined. Celeste Rivas' body has been frozen. As a result, it looks like the LA County medical examiner will not be able to establish a cause of death. Sources directly connected to the investigation tells TMZ. According to those sources, the medical examiner received the body in horrendous condition. I got to take a sip before I go any further. This is just only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. It was decapitated. And while the torso was intact, the limbs have been removed and cut into multiple pieces.
Oh, my God.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is diabolical. It took great evil, in my opinion, for somebody to do what they did to Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Oh, my God.
Let's keep going. We're told all of the body parts were partially frozen and had apparently been thawing out while sitting in the trunk of David's Tesla. This doesn't make any sense to me because the private investigators who are on this case, allegedly video evidence, allegedly, I haven't seen it. Only these PIs and the LAPD have seen it. They said that car wasn't moved. How is it that car was not moved and nobody was observed putting anything in the front or taking anything from the front and the body is still defrosting? Somebody is mistaken.
Does that make sense?
Because it's not possible that a body was in a trunk for months and it's still defrosting.
Does that make sense?
That's not how that works.
Does that make sense?
It doesn't matter if it's a piece of chicken or a body. It's only going to take a couple of hours for it to defrost.
Does that make sense?
So I don't know what's going on here, but this is what TMZ is reporting, ladies and gentlemen. This is what TMZ is reporting. So now we got to ask ourselves, are the reports that we have seen on all these other channels that have spoken to PIs and all that stuff, is that accurate or is TMZ accurate? I don't know.
Does that make sense?
Well, let's keep going. Remember, David's vehicle had not been moved for several days when it was parked on a Hollywood Hills street near his rental home, which resulted in it getting towed and then the body being found. As TMZ reported, Celeste's body was in such bad shape initially, investigators did not know if it was a male or a female. When the body was received by the ME's office, the initial determination was this was a victim of an apparent homicide. But our sources say the ME is now having trouble establishing an official manner of cause of death, and it will most likely be undetermined. Other sources connected to the investigation tell TMZ the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division is viewing Celeste's death as a homicide. Let's keep going.
In the case of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose body was found in the front trunk of singer David's impounded.
Finally, somebody in the news that actually got her age right. Big shout out to KTLA 5 for not calling her 15 years old like we've been reading in many article, like they're just copying off of each other. She wasn't 15, she was 14, and barely so. Let's keep going.
Tesla in September.
David was officially identified as a suspect in the teen's death this week. And now a source that's close to the case says detectives have identified a second suspect. Lindsay Pena, live in our news center with the latest on that. Lindsay?
Rick and Kareem, this is the second major development in this case this week. Back on Tuesday, a source was able to confirm to KTLA that singer David is being named as a suspect, as you mentioned. The body of the Lake Elsinore teen was found September 8th in the front trunk of David's Tesla, impounded at a Hollywood tow yard. David was on tour at the time, but police now believe Hernandez was killed last spring. The medical examiner reported she had been dead for an extended period of time. Yesterday, the case was updated in the medical examiner's website. The cause of death had been listed as deferred for weeks, but now there is no information listed, which means there could be a security hold on the case. Late today, TMZ reporting that Rivas's body may have been frozen, and that could make it difficult or nearly impossible to determine the cause of death.
Wow.
Our request to the medical examiner's office for more information hasn't been answered yet. Now there are reports of a second suspect being named. That information coming from attorney Mark Garagos, who is not connected to the case but says he's talked to people close to the investigation and they've told him this person could be involved before, during, and after her death.
I think what law enforcement is focusing on right now is they're trying to determine locations, and they have reverse engineered. They obviously know when they found the car. They obviously know when they discovered the remains. They now are reverse engineering the movements of all those who were involved, and they've done it in a very sophisticated way.
Garagos and Harvey Levin of TMZ both confirming independently that investigators are looking closely at a trip that David took to a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night last spring. At this point, one former LAPD detective we've spoken with says David is likely under surveillance, and all of these developments could mean an arrest is coming soon. Attorney Allison Treasel saying investigators are likely taking their time and being extra careful since this case is so high profile.
This is a high-profile case with a lot of eyes on the LAPD, and they don't want to get it wrong. They should not have to be in any type of a rush because there's no statute of limitations on a murder case if this is in fact a murder. And the coroner has yet to release the manner of death or the toxicology reports.
As of now, there have still been no charges and no arrests in this case. In the News Center, Lindsay Pena, KTLA.